This is Jablam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Bojarinoff and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Jablam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojarinoff. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I am with
Paul Swambag. You can find me at Swambag, ZWAMBAG. How's it going, everybody? Peter, what's up?
There's an update, Paul. So I went on Twitter to see if I can change my Twitter handle, and somebody has already taken Bojarinoff.
What?
And it's like a blocked one, too. It's like he basically opened it, said something stupid, whoever the guy was, and it's blocked account, and I think I already emailed Twitter, and they haven't responded to me yet. So, and that's like the only one I really want. If I'm going to change it, I'm not going to get Peter Bojarinoff. I'm not going to, I don't know. If there's anyone, I'm just going to go straight up my last name, but I don't know, whatever. The same thing happened like ages ago when I wanted to do the website thing, and I was thinking about Jablam since high school almost, and I wanted to get just jablam.com, and some weirdo had that, and he wasn't even doing anything with the website. I even emailed the guy then, and he gave me some weird response too, and he still didn't do anything with the website.
So what you're saying is this guy's related to you and mouthed off to somebody and has ran your last name through the mud.
Yeah, I'm trying to big up the name the best I can, but then there's always one guy who tears it all apart.
That goes with
that goes with all society, right? Like stereotyping, Some people are, they're calling racism or sexism, or they're against certain cultures. No, it's just a few handful of idiots in every part of, hockey fans or whatever you are, or your background, that ruin for the rest of us. And that's just how it goes.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's not one terrible Zwambag in the world.
Oh,
they're all amazing.
None. Paul, I think you're looking through your glasses wrong, and you don't realize that you're the one.
Oh. Okay.
No.
I'm putting down my headset and walking away. Let's see how this is.
Yeah. So how's it going with you? You still have a cold?
Yeah,
Come on,
I'm still dying. When was our last episode? May 28th, and I'm still dying.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I think when you hit that week and a half, 2 week mark, that's when you got to go to the doctor.
No, I'm not at the 2 week mark yet. I'm a week and a half, so.
All right. So.
I'm still alive. My family's healthy. I'm just not healthy. Probably because I don't sleep as much as them, so.
Yeah, you passed it on to me when we did the podcast last episode, and I've been working my way through it. I'm eating hot soups every night, a little bit of tea, a lot of liquids, and I'm doing okay. I'm still got it a little bit, but then I passed it off to the rest of my family as well. They're not happy about it.
Well, you're welcome, Bojarinoff family.
Yes, thank you. All right, what do we have this episode? We will be team ISOing the Anaheim Ducks with special guest Daniel Kleinberg. We will be talking about the final as well. And Paul will give us some Jablam Junior hockey update at the end. But first, trending now. Well, the LA Kings, they lock up Toffoli. Toffoli? I like to call him Toffoli for some reason.
That's weird.
Tyler Toffoli, 3 years. I think it's 13.8 million, so it's about 4.6 average per year. How do you feel about that one, Paul?
I like it. I really like it. I'm surprised they didn't get a longer term with him, but 3 years is a good amount, and he'll probably want 5 or 6, 5.5 after the 2020 season.
So he's past his entry level, right? This is like a few removed.
He'll be. His next one will be a UFA contract.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. 3 years. They went in between. Like, it's not a bridge deal, obviously, anymore. So it's an interesting move. They're not sure of him too because, like, obviously not this year, but it was last year, right? And he disappeared in playoffs.
That is true, but most of the LA Kings did.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell how good they are, but he hasn't proven it yet in the playoffs. So it's an interesting in the middle kind of deal. They're giving him pretty much a second line contract with that kind of deal. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's an interesting one. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Big news in Toronto. Austin Matthews gets a new tattoo.
Oh, what do you get? What do you get?
It's an uproar in more ways than one, Paul. A lot of people, it just seems weird. A lot of people are haters. They're hating on Matthews getting a tattoo. I think a lot of people are, okay, well, we'll say he got like a lion with a crown on top. But it's just weird, the reaction on like Twitter and stuff. I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to be one of those tattoo guys. Is he a bro? Is he a Tyler Sagan kind of guy now? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a tattoo guy myself. Well, I don't have the biceps to pull off like a huge tattoo, especially with me working out on and off. My arms are shrinking and growing all the time. But it just, I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Is it his first?
It seems like it, or at least that it's huge. We will obviously, like we always do, all our trending nows and other stuff that we talk about, we're going to post on our game notes. We will post the tattoo on jablamhockey.com, or at least the link. And it's huge. It's just like whole arm. It's a beautiful lion with the crown.
That's why I have a feeling it's not his first. That's a big tattoo to be your first.
Yeah.
He's probably got like a USA flag somewhere, like maybe the back of his leg or shoulder blade or something. Like somewhere that people don't really get to photograph, right? Like these guys aren't walking around naked.
I think he's got one just on his, on the lower of his back, and one on the back of his ankle.
Oh, weird. How do you know this?
Or is that where girlfriends put it? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So a lot of people are making jokes. I think was it LA Kings or Bailey were saying that he's going to the Kings or something. Or I don't know, I can't remember. But the one thing was weird too, and a few people mentioned he played for obviously the Zurich Lions. But is he gonna get it? Is he getting a huge tattoo that big of a team he played for 1 year? I don't know. Like he played 50 games for them, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like if he went out and got a huge tattoo that covered his whole arm for a team he played 50 games for. How big is this massive tattoo going to be for the Maple Leafs? He plays for them for his whole career or wins a Stanley Cup.
He's going to get a maple tree all the way down his back. The leaves on his back, and then the trunk is going to go on both legs. The roots down into the bottom of his feet. Just a big maple tree.
Oh, with hopefully a few cups to go with that tattoo. All right. And then a lot of talk coming out of Arizona with Coyotes and GM Chaika. That was kind of weird, the comments he made about Mike Smith, eh?
Yeah, there's a value to our team that Mike has, being an all-star and our rock. His value is extremely high, but if someone wants to pay an even higher value for him, that's the industry. Interesting.
What was the other thing he said? He said something about... Yeah, that's the one I was talking about too with the... It just seems odd. How would he go out and just put that out there? Were they asking specifically about him and Mike Smith?
Maybe he was drunk tweeting.
He's
young enough to be drunk tweeting.
Well, he's young enough to be doing many things other than being a GM of a professional, team.
I want to know what they're going to do in expansion. Are they going to leave him available and protect Louis Domingue?
If I was them too, if they're doing a rebuild, it's a little harder too if OLE is your main number one piece and he's getting in his prime or he's there right now, then you're not really building around him if you're going young again right now, in my opinion. So it's interesting. But if you can trade Mike Smith, who's an aging goaltender, and get a few solid young pieces or good draft pick for him, why not?
Yeah, I think they need a little bit more defensive help.
Yeah,
their forward rookie or forward prospects are pretty decent, so I don't think they have to worry about that too much. It's the defense that I would be worried about. And I like Louis Domingue. I think they could go with Louis Domingue and have an all right season.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. It's just very interesting that he put him out there and did that. But I don't mind it. I actually don't mind it. And if they can get something for him, that'd be pretty good actually. So he for sure. Smith is past his prime, and I think a lot of fans, even when I was in Arizona, were, I know some of them are fans of Smith, but they know that it's probably time to move on. And maybe it's a good thing if they can get something out of him, and maybe something out of the expansion if they move another piece, to make more room for younger players.
Oh, and Smith has a no-trade clause, so they will be protecting him unless they move him in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, unless they make a separate side move with, Vegas or another team. Now time for this week's segment of Team ISO. It's where we talk more about detail about one specific team. Last year you got our view and our ideas, Paul and mine. This year we're going into the blogospheres, and we're going to ask this week's guest is Daniel Kleinberg. You can follow him on Twitter at dklein, DKLEIN_ONE9. Daniel, what kind of Twitter name is this?
It is me attempting to be clever, but it is me, Daniel, and then Klein, just part of my name, with my hockey number 19. So
and 19 was already taken?
I didn't even try. I just thought it sounded cool, so I went for it.
All right, and of course, he is an associate editor at Anaheim Calling. We will tweet that out, put it on our website, jablamhockey.com. His recent article, you were talking a little bit about the Ducks going to the golf course, and you were talking a little bit about the Preds, how well they were playing. But what I didn't like, Daniel, come on, buddy. What's this? At the end of the day, the team with the least ex-Canucks and Leafs won this series. Shocking, I know. What is up with that, Daniel? I can't believe you posted that.
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to bite me. But, I mean, everyone serves their purpose for the Ducks, and some people are better than others. But there's kind of a few communities in the Ducks fan base that either loves or hates Ryan Getzlaf and Kevin Bieksa.
Yeah.
So I kind of fall in the middle of those, and I see the benefit of the two, but I also see where they definitely need some help, especially given their age and their contracts.
Well, what's the jab at the Leafs though? My Leafs, like, is it the coach? Is it the backup Bernier? It's not his fault.
It's not his fault, but he didn't have that for sure. I have a anti-Gibson little facade going on, so I like to root for Bernier, but I was a big Freddie Anderson fan.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, I was sad to see him go, but when Gibson got hurt, you knew there wasn't much we could do at that point.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really carried the team, and without Ricard Raquel and Patrick Eves, it was a challenge.
Yeah, a lot of injuries to all the players. How do you feel about, like, I didn't even want to mention it, but Gibson's game is very random. He doesn't seem like a very steady, I don't know, hybrid, butterfly goaltender. He's very in and out in there and very odd.
Yeah, totally agree. I was a goalie growing up, so I kind of saw the technical game more than the athletic side of things, and I really respected a goalie that, dedicated themselves to positioning. So when I see Gibson kind of swimming around the crease and just making the acrobatic saves, it scared me every single time. But he stops the puck somehow. Yeah. He does his job, and he does his job well. Is it pretty? Not at all, but he does it. I just wish it was more consistent. And this year he really proved himself, and hopefully he can continue that going forward.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, so you mentioned already his name. It seems like Ducks Nation hates him. What are they going to do with Bieksa?
More like, what is Bieksa going to do to the Anaheim Ducks? He holds all the power here.
Okay.
So with this expansion draft, we can go so many different directions. We're either going to lose both Sami Vatanen or Josh Manson, or Kevin Bieksa spares us for a few days and waives his no-trade clause. I'm pretty scared at the moment, but I just don't know if I want to see Kevin Bieksa have a top four role going forward, but I can only cross my fingers.
All right. Okay. The next question is, what happened? I'm a huge fan of Ryan Getzlaf, but he kind of disappeared versus the Preds. Was he just not playing well, or was it that good of the Preds defense and maybe Subban stepping up and covering him well?
Yeah, I think the Ducks and the Predators have the two best defenses in the league right now, and PK is one of the most underrated shutdown defenders out there. Mm-hmm. Getzlaf did have plenty of opportunities, but I thought he maybe elected to pass a little more than he had in the first two rounds, and it just didn't work out. And sometimes you run into a hot goaltender like Pecorino was, and it just doesn't work out. But I love watching PK Subban, Ryan Ellis, Roman Josi, all of them do their job for the Predators. They're sadly so fun to watch, but they were the better team in that series.
Yeah. So again, I was even going to mention it. All the talk is about that Preds D. What about the Ducks defense? They're really, really good. They're solid, and especially where did Montador come from? He was excellent.
Yeah, Montour. He was in San Diego for a long time. He was kind of the Sami Vatanen up-and-coming offensive defender, but I was really impressed with his defense this year. It's just he was tenacious along the boards. He was pretty solid in front of the crease. He just did his job well, and his agility. It was something to watch. I don't know how he did it, and I hope he can continue to improve. But that maybe if they can find a complement. If he was a lefty, I would love to see him with Josh Manson, that physicality, and then with that puck-moving game. It's sexy, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he was really good. Sorry, I called him Montador. Was there another defenseman? Did he play for the Ducks as well, Montador? Paul? Or maybe he played for the Senators?
I think I know who that was. Didn't he... I don't want to say it, but... was he on the
Steve
Black
Montador?
Yeah, Steve Montador. That's it. Anyways, Montour is the kid on the Ducks. Yeah, he was excellent. Any other prospects you want to talk about, Paul, though?
Yeah, we kind of covered the defensemen, Montour and Theodore. Jacob Larson, how are they going to fit these young defensemen into the lineup? They already got like 8 guys signed to NHL contracts for next year.
Great question. Bob Murray has his hands full going forward, that's for sure. So that's where you see the likes of Kevin Bieksa and Clay Stoner and their contracts really taking up the space for these solid defenders. So, I mean, you can only have 6 good guys, and at the moment, Anaheim does have 6 quality players. So if we can't get Jacob Larson or whoever else is in the lineup, they're a great trade piece. And Anaheim really needs a top 6 left winger, hopefully a left-handed shot, because their power play is all right-handed shots. It's kind of stunning to see in a modern-day NHL to have all righties, but here we are. But if they could somehow keep this top 6 defense core together, I think the average age is 25. They could do damage for a long time.
Yeah, Bob Murray's got to leave a car in BX's parking spot for sure.
Oh, yeah. I ran into Bob Murray coming home from a Vancouver Canucks vs. Ducks game this year, and we just talked for a little bit, and he looked busy, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then moving to the forwards, you got Sam Steele, who just won the CHL top scorer, 131 points in like 60 games. That's pretty incredible. And is he going right to the NHL next year?
I don't know. I haven't looked into him too much, but I know that when they picked him, I liked him a lot better than Jones, who was their first round pick that year, and then they got another trade or another pick from the Freddie Anderson deal. But he looks like he could be what Anaheim needs. Anaheim does like the bigger forwards, though, so I'm a little nervous of how they would utilize him right off the bat, especially at his age. So if he's not given that role to succeed, I would much rather him be in the minors, either if it's the AHL or juniors still. He needs to keep developing his game.
Yeah, I think he's got one more year of eligibility in the CHL, so he'll probably go back and dominate the CHL for one more year. But then again, he might find a roster spot, but like maybe the third line guy, and work his way up the roster. And Max Jones, you mentioned, he's going to be like a Matt Tkachuk, just kind of a guy that takes really silly penalties, but can also put the puck in the net. But I don't think he's ready for a year or two. And then your boy from USA, Troy Terry, the World Juniors hero. What do you think of his game?
5-hole specialist. I mean, we already have our shootout specialist with Jakob Silverberg, so he's got to really compete for that number one spot. But I like what I see. Was he playing first line minutes the entire season? I'm not sure, but I like the University of Denver program. They have a great coach, so I know he's getting the attention he deserves in the NCAA's. We'll see what he can do. I hope he's got it because, again, Anaheim really needs that forward help with their core aging as it is.
Yeah, and then we moved to the net, and they kind of got it wrapped up with Gibson. But is Jack Campbell going to get a backup spot next year? Is he finally going to make an NHL roster?
Unfortunately, I think he's with the LA Kings.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of rivals, but yeah, we have Bernier, who's probably gone, and then Jonas Enroth. I really wanted him to get a game after his AHL streak. I think it was about 10 game winning streak. But we have Matt Hackett and Dustin Tokarski, an old very backup. So yeah, we've always had good goaltending in Anaheim, so it's been a good backbone for us.
Are they going to go look for a veteran backup, or one of those guys going to fill in?
That's tough. I could see them finally making a move and upgrading an AHL goalie, but I mean, Bob Murray and Randy Carlyle love having a veteran presence there, and I could see them getting someone. There's a few backups around the league that I like. Chad Johnson always stands out to me. Thomas Greiss, even Halak, if they can get that on a cheap deal or trade, and the team retains salary, I could love that too. But I mean, there's a lot of possibilities with the expansion draft and how things could shake up.
What about the name Brian Elliott? Would you like to take him on?
Kind of funny. I'm a weird guy. I see certain guys wear the goalie pads, and just with my upbringing, I kind of judge people for what they wear. Hilarious. But he used to wear Bauer pads, and it scares me. I'm not going to lie. So I would stay away from him, but yeah.
You don't like Bauer pads? Explain this. I'm puzzled.
I'm just weird. Goalies are weird. That's all.
Well, that is true. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, CCM forever, but yeah, it's just a different pad. I see goalies wear a completely straight-faced leg pad like a Fred Anderson, but if they can't control the rebounds, they just go everywhere. So, like Pecorine, who wears completely flat CCM Premiers, when they bounce hard.
You sound like you got a sponsorship with the CCM guys.
No, I don't, but I live in Portland, Oregon. Adidas is right there, so I have to stay true to my home.
Nice, I like it.
All right, before we leave, we mentioned a bit of the expansion. I don't know, is it Lindholm and Vatanen? They're both injured, aren't they? Aren't they not going to come back till like maybe December?
Yeah, they both have torn shoulders. So Bob Murray said that Sami Vatanen's going to be out longer, but I'm not really sure how that works if they both have the same injury.
Yeah.
I know Vatanen played with it for longer. He had it since probably with 10 games left in the regular season compared to home in the postseason. But it's almost a blessing, I think, for the Ducks.
Yeah. It's going to be hard for Vegas to come and take one of the two if they're exposed for the expansion, especially if they're injured and they're not unsure about them.
Right. Lindholm is totally untouchable. I don't see how they can end up getting rid of him. But Vatanen, yeah, that's the question. But I think they covet Josh Manson so much, and that Vatanen is still right-handed offensive D-man that every team needs. I still see him with value, which is unfortunate because I love Finnish hockey players, and the Ducks only have one left. So if they get rid of him, I don't know what we're going to do. The Lonnie days are over.
Interesting. Who do you think outside of the defenseman could be exposed for Vegas?
That's tough. Well, I'll tell you, it's not going to be Jakob Silfverberg. Everyone keeps
mentioning him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no chance with his postseason performance, and just I really think he helped carry the Ryan Kessler line as much as Ryan Kessler contributed there. His defense is spectacular, but I don't know what forwards Vegas would want because the bottom six of the Ducks just isn't.
Yeah.
Other teams around the league. Logan Shaw maybe, but not much going on.
Cool. All right. Daniel, thanks for coming on the show. That was great. Again, you can find Daniel on Twitter at Dklein, DKLEIN_ONE9. That's Dklein_19. Daniel, again, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Perfect. And we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
How do you like the playoffs final so far, Paul?
I'm terrified. We've been outplayed 4 straight games. Luckily, we've come out on top twice. Well, the Penguins have come out on top twice. Mm-hmm. They've had one really good period of hockey. Not just in one game, but like 10 minutes in one game or 15 minutes in one game and then 5 minutes in another. They've just been outplayed. They finally met up with a team that's just as fast as them, and it looks bad on the defensive core of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The injury to Chris Letang is catching up, and I think Schultz is banged up and Daly's banged up, and those are our top 2 guys. So Olli Mata has looked like a turnstile right now. He just looks messy pretty much every play or every time he's out on the ice. He's got someone going around him, and he looks like he's got cement in his skates. It's not very impressive.
Yes, he has looked very awful, especially like the last 2 games. Ollie, did I not call it a little bit though when I was talking about how the Penguins play in the playoffs and how they can win? It just seems that they've been outplayed most of the playoffs, right?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, but they tend to score when they need to, and they score in bunches.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
They score in bunches. Like the first 2 games, I was like, man, they're getting lucky. Like they poured 3 goals in like 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then the other game they scored in a bunch. So I'm concerned. I'm quite worried. Hopefully they keep going home victories, and we come out in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully that works out for the Penguins that way. Has there anybody really stood out for you? I don't know. I think Hainsey has played fairly well, no?
Yeah, he still looks aged and slow, and
yeah.
I don't know why they're not playing Mark Streit a little bit more. He looked pretty soft in the Ottawa series, but you need speed. He's got quicker feet than Ron Hainsey, I think.
Mm-hmm. They are playing Hainsey a lot, which is kind of interesting. And he's been all right. Other than he's obviously a step slower, he's been okay. He hasn't been that bad, especially compared to some of those guys. Dumoulin has looked all right, and he had a few chances to hit the post. Couple times.
Ian Cole has kind of cooled off. He was the guy that was getting a lot of assists to Crosby's goals and finding guys beside nets and stuff, and it's kind of died off. I think these guys are just not in their right spots. If you just move them down the ladder one spot to Chris Letang's top spot, and then Schultz will be your second guy, not your top power play guy, and Daly will be your second power play and your third, and Olli Mata will be your fourth, and I think it's catching up with the speed of the Predators. They haven't had a team this quick in the playoffs yet.
And it's kind of been weird that the Preds have had injuries, but then they filled in these spots with guys like Pontus Aberg and Frederick Gaudreau, and they are playing very well, filling in for guys like, Johansson.
Yeah, I don't think they are as hurt as... I don't know, it's tough. Johansson's a big loss, but who else do they really have lost, right?
Mm-hmm. Like
their defense core, if they lose like one guy, I think they get into a lot of trouble with Matt Irwin or Yannick Weber moving up more than even Johansson being lost. I think their defense core is is expected to do a lot, and just look at the stats. They're basically in on every goal.
Yeah, those 4 Carlsons are playing pretty good.
Yeah, they each play 25 minutes a night, and that leaves Yannick, Weber, and Matt Irwin 10 minutes a game, which is very easily to hide those guys.
Yeah. What did you think about Sidney Crosby's Listerine comments about Subban's breath?
I don't think they were real comments.
Obviously they weren't.
I don't. It's PK. PK is a fun guy. I do enjoy that side of things with PK. I'm not a huge fan of how he plays, but I like how he's able to keep it loose and have fun. And yeah, bring the Listerine bottles, and I'm sure it got quite a laugh in their dressing room. So I like how he keeps things light and just has fun. It shows that some of these guys aren't robots, and he's able to come off with a funny remark every once in a while, and nobody gets mad at him about it, so I'm all right with it.
The things I wasn't big fans. And again, I love Subban, but the things I wasn't a big fan of about him was his defensive game, his diving per se. You could say maybe he still does it a little bit, but not as much, obviously. And his other antics on top of the diving with the yapping and stuff like that. And I will be on the side of Don Cherry with this. He's changed a lot, especially last year. I would say he changed already last year, and then this year now by being with the Predators and more. I think, he's getting older, more mature, and maybe a little bit more leadership role because this is a team that needs that kind of role to go deep in the playoffs, and that's changed a lot in Subban's game. And again, you could see it defensively. He's covering top guys, like we've just mentioned with Daniel, covering Getzlaf. In this series, he's covering Crosby or Malkin when he's on the ice. He's a changed player.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, and how could you not love him? Like, you already liked him. He's great for TV, that's for sure. And you can see he has to have a broadcasting career or something like that after he's done. But he's got at least 10 plus years or more to play still. So it'll be exciting to see how that goes, especially being with the Preds, and they're going to be a solid team as long as these top 4 defensemen are there and the rest of their core sticks together and Subban's there. They're going to be great. But all 4 defensemen, those guys are playing really well.
Yeah, how about that atmosphere, Peter? It's incredible.
How do you feel about the atmosphere and how people are talking about it, especially being a Pens fan? And people, obviously, some of them chirping Pens fans.
It's got to be a factor because Nashville's home record is just unreal, and Pekka Rinne looked lost most nights, like Game 1 and Game 2. He looked lost in the net, and then he comes back out Game 3 and 4 and just holds Pittsburgh to 1 goal each game. That he definitely has home cooking or something, that probably the atmosphere that gets him off, because it's incredible how loud that crowd is, and you don't see it in every arena. And I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, that's like every arena in the finals," and it's like, no, that's not even in Pittsburgh. No. Like, Pittsburgh looks quiet compared to Nashville, and Pittsburgh is usually quiet. Like, they don't go off unless they're scoring 5-4 goals a night.
Yeah, and I mentioned to you about Pittsburgh a few times that they sometimes cheer at the wrong thing. Sometimes it seems like, and again, it goes with some hockey markets. But this Nashville city has lit up with the Preds and with them playing so well. What were the things I was going to talk about? Number one was I love the whole thing with guys like, what was it? The Tennessee Titans were at the game, and they had the offensive line with the quarterback there, and the quarterback is like, yay, he's got his beer and he's raising it, but the offensive line is going nuts, pouring beers down their face. And I don't know who it was, the big, huge dude. He poured the beer down the catfish, and then he drank the catfish.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And of course, the QB's keeping it all cool because he's the face of the franchise. These big lugs that protect him are just big lugs. And like you just pointed out, you don't know the big guy's name, but he's the big guy of the group.
Yeah, hilarious. Yeah. I love that. I like a lot of those guys. And we mentioned last episode with Rusev and and other celebrities and guys showing up there. It's great. The atmosphere is great. Smashville is fun. The crowds outside of Bridgestone Arena, fabulous.
Oh, on Broadway Street, it's ridiculous. You just thinking about what they do with their city, what the Toronto Maple Leafs could do with their city, and how we work in Toronto. Like, we know the areas that they should pop up spots like this. They have so many big screens downtown Toronto that they could just light up with Maple Leaf games, and they don't.
Yeah,
it's really disappointing that it isn't just focused. Probably because the city's so huge, so they can't really do anything about it. But I just feel like they could do so much more with a lot of cities, where Nashville is just like, yep, we're shutting down a whole street, setting up gates, making patios bigger, and having multiple screens. They had a screen on a skyscraper to watch it. It's incredible.
It's really been great to watch. With Toronto though, I don't know. I think it's a lot of they don't want to shut down things, right? I think it's money wise, and they just feel that, like, if we're doing this, well, I don't think the people are going to come, or it's all money and business. It seems like more like in Toronto, so it'd be tough, but it's working really well for Nashville and their fans, and the people going there to watch them. There are lots of people are flying in. I keep on hearing about a lot of people from Toronto. They have gone down to Nashville to watch this series. So it's great to hear about, and it's great to see. It's a joy to watch this finals. And I mentioned it last round that conference finals was outstanding, and it is, and I still feel it is better than this final has been. But the atmosphere and the game's close enough. It's still been pretty good than most the average Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I wish I could get down to a game, but finances and life takes over, and I would rather go to a game in Nashville than a game in Pittsburgh right now. In these next 3 games, if I could go, I would pick the Nashville Game 6.
You would, and I did ask you like a week and a half ago if you wanted to go to Ottawa, because obviously there were tickets available, and Paul didn't want to go with me, folks. Paul did not want to go.
I wanted to go, I couldn't afford it, and life happens, man.
Life happens fast, apparently. All right, we'll talk more about the series and how it ends, and we'll probably pick some all-star picks for the playoffs, and our MVP. But right now, we picked our top goaltenders so far in the playoffs. Paul, who's your third pick for top goaltender in the playoffs?
It's really weird because 2 of my guys, they have a lights-out home record and then a terrible visitor record. But my number 3 is Matt Murray, coming in cold after an injury, won the series against the Ottawa Senators, and put up a 2-0 lead against the Predators. They got to get the next 2 wins. There's been talk that Fleury or Murray, and it's got to be Fleury the rest of the way. You can't go back to Murray now. That would kill Murray's confidence and psyche. You just got to stay with Murray, ride him out. The Penguins need good goaltending to finish off the Stanley Cup, and I think they can find at least 2 games out of these 3 for Matt Murray to pick off wins. So I think
Go ahead.
I think Murray's got to be the guy. You can't turn away from him.
I pulled a Peter again, Paul. I pulled a Peter, and I picked Murray and Fleury. Reasoning is obviously too is they both shared the duties of number 1. Fleury was there while Murray was out. Then he got healthy. Fleury had 1 bad game. They put Murray in. It's weird though. Murray hasn't been back to back as good the last 2 games. Why not put? Yeah, you just mentioned it. They can't put Fleury in because Murray is their boy for the future, right?
Yep.
So that's an iffy. But again, they shared the duties of the number 1, and that's why I felt it was a bit of an easier to both share my third pick as top goaltender. They both played well, so they both deserve one of those spots. But yeah, they both didn't play every game.
I'm upset by this decision because at the start of your playoff pool, I wanted to pick a team goalie, which I would have picked the Pittsburgh Penguins, and now you're picking both the Penguins for a goalie spot.
Number 1, did you hear about the new Conn Smythe thing that they're doing?
No.
They are finally saying the Conn Smythe can be joint winners.
What?
They changed it, but as long as it's not the same position. I'm pretty sure I heard this.
So it can't be two centermen, so it can't be Crosby and Malkin?
Yeah, it can't be that kind of thing. So it's interesting.
Oh, Phil Kessel's pissed about this decision.
Yeah, he should have won it last year. So, anyways, we'll see what happens. Maybe they're doing. Gunsel can share it with Crosby or Malkin, right? So, we'll see what happens with this. Kind of interesting.
I don't like it.
Kind of twist. But we were also mentioning, and we will be mentioning a little bit later on. What if Fleury had stayed and been the main goalie, and then won the Conn Smythe, and then at awards night accepts the Conn Smythe, and then right after accepts being moved to Vegas. Interesting. Anyways, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Craig Anderson. He carried the Ottawa Senators as far as they went.
Nice. Yeah, it was hard to say because statistically he wasn't really there, but he made some big saves when they needed him to.
Yeah.
So my number 2 was in the same kind of direction, was Lundqvist. I really don't feel that the Rangers would have won the first round at all if it wasn't for Lundqvist. And he kept them in the Ottawa series as well with some huge saves. If you go see any of the highlight reel packages of plays of the week or the month or the playoffs or anything, you will see a handful of Lundqvist saves. And on top of that, he was steady, and his stats are great as well. So maybe he wasn't as great during the season, maybe this year or last year or whatever, but he was stellar in the playoffs. And the Rangers maybe even could have beat the Ottawa Senators if they had just a little bit more offense. So Lundqvist was amazing. And I guess we picked the same number 1, Paul.
Yeah, about Lundqvist, he suffered a knee injury at World Hockey Championships.
Was it because of Willie Nylander?
I don't know. It might have been. They did celebrate pretty big, and it would make sense. He finished the game, so
yeah, he looked fine. And then I told you, it looked like I would have been shocked if he didn't get an injury the way Nylander took him out there. Holy cow!
Maybe Nylander did it on purpose. Oh,
yeah.
He's like, we won the gold. Whack, whack, crack. Give you a couple Charlie horses and dive on you like crazy.
So you're not good enough to be good in the playoffs next year if the Leafs play you? Yeah, it's a good move.
See?
So
our number 1's Pekka Rinne. But Pekka Rinne at home. He doesn't have very good visitor stats. His home stats are incredible. But his visitor stats are just lacking, and especially game 1 and 2 of this series. He had like a .750 save percentage or something like that, which is just not good.
Yeah, he's very up and down, very hot and cold. But on the main point, he's been hot more times than cold. Yeah. So, and that's all that matters. And if he continues that way, you know what? The Preds could win the cup. And again, he was my X factor, and I said that he can have those bad games, and that's what he did in the first 2 games. And then now he's played well in the last 2 games. So. Wow, just so, and you know what? This can totally change by the end of the series. He could totally stay number 1 if the Preds win, and he could totally drop to 3, and Murray ends up going up, up to number 1 for goalie in the playoffs if the Pens win. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
how still tight it is. Some playoffs we've had goalies where they were just insanely good, and you thought Rinne could have maybe done that, but he's faltered a little bit on some nights, especially the last 2 series. I don't know. I think a lot of people have talked about, and there's been articles online, that he's gone better the further a series has gone on. But I do feel that he's gone colder as the whole playoffs has gone on.
Yeah. Save percentage has gone down from the first series to the second round to the third round. Yeah.
So, because even my buddy Mark was saying that he thought St. Louis played the Preds the best so far in the playoffs. And you know what? I'm not going to say he's wrong on that, because St. Louis, they don't have a lot of finishing touch. Maybe after Tarasenko, maybe Schwartz, he was pretty good. but they were the closest to being competitive every single game of the series versus the Preds. And it just they didn't have enough of that offensive flair, which the Pens do. Again, Pens can still have another bad game or two and still win if they score on those bunches and those big, the big goals that they can score. And we haven't seen the best of Malkin Kessel, and I think Malkin might have mentioned it recently or today that Kessel or him need to step up because I think they've been pretty cold this series so far.
Yeah, their power play really needs to start firing. The Predators haven't had very many penalties, but I think the Penguins are 0 for 21 in their last 21. Like that's not a good stat. You need to pick that up big time,
especially for the Penguins.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you have Jablam Junior Hockey update for us.
Yeah, where'd we leave off last episode?
We were talking about the Memorial Cup and how it was going to be in the semifinal and the final.
Nice. All right, we'll fire off the semifinals. Erie versus St. John's Sea Dogs. Sea Dogs got blown out by the Erie Otters the first game, like 12-3 or something like that. But
during the round robin?
Yeah, during the round robin. But in the semifinal, they kept pace with Erie until midway through the third period, and Erie poured it on with four goals, not straight, but one was an empty netter at the end, and they ended up winning 6-3, the Erie Otters, to meet up with the host Windsor Spitfires.
Nice.
So the finals was an unbelievable game. It was back and forth, great action. No team was in the lead for more than 2 minutes at a time. So Windsor scored. Jeremy Bracco put one in. Your boy from the Leafs, Jeremy Bracco.
Oh, yeah.
Erie answered back 48 seconds later in the first. Dylan Strome potted one. Erie scored in the second period. Warren Fogle. 52 seconds later, Windsor tied it back up with Logan Stanley blast from the point. At the end of the second, Erie scored to go up 3-2. TJ Fergus scored. Windsor answered back 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Graham Knott scored it. Aaron Luchuk scores the game winner with 5 minutes left in the game, and the Windsor Spitfires are your 2017 Memorial Cup champions. They had 43 days off between being knocked out in the first round by the Knights to going to the Memorial Cup, and a lot of people are upset by it, and there's been a lot of talk with format and what's got to change. I really like the format of I forget what they May Madness, and doing all the teams, a huge bracket, just like the NCAA. Why not? These kids play their hearts out. There'd be so many upsets and stuff. It would be fantastic.
What? You want to do a whole CHL bracket?
Yeah, that would be...
Oh, my God.
But not like WH...
What about travel?
Maybe the WHL, and they like still have the bracket, but like one game series, so these kids don't get dying out and playing to late May. So I would really like to see it. I would love to see every team put up for grabs, seeded. Anybody can play anybody. St. John can travel all the way to Victoria. You don't have to do them back to back to back to back. Do them one a week. Yeah. They're going to go pretty quick. So I would love to see that. That would be unreal.
So Windsor wins. Congratulations to where I went to university, the city of Windsor. The last time they won, I think it was 2008, 2009, around there.
In there, yeah.
Taylor Hall was leading them. He was doing
Ryan Ellis,
the Predators, Ryan Ellis, and I believe Austin Watson. I think he might have been the other Pred who's currently on the Predators, that was also playing for the Spitfires at the time. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. One other thing about the Memorial Cup final. Spitfires coach Rocky Thompson was named head coach today of the Vegas Golden Knights AHL affiliate, Chicago Wolves.
Interesting.
So the Spitfires lose their coach after winning the Memorial Cup. That might be tough to fill. And then the Erie Otters coach, Chris Knobloch, is headed to Philly to be an assistant coach to Dave Haxtell. So the two Memorial Cup finalists are losing coaches, which is a pretty big ding. I think Erie's going to lose quite a bit of players, and the Windsor Spitfires are going to lose a bunch of players. But I think the Spitfires will still be an okay team. Like they have a lot of young guys, and the Otters might be a little more in trouble.
That's a good thing, though. You want to see teams that succeed also have their players and their coaches and people within the organization move up and on.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. All right, Paul, what's your All-Star Memorial Cup team?
My All-Star Memorial Cup team, center Dylan Strome, had lights out. He top scorer in the tournament, tied with Taylor Radish, but yeah, he had an unreal tournament. And his stats were kind of padded in the 12-3 victory over the Sea Dogs, so that's why I kind of didn't lean too many Erie Otters, because that 12-3 game really made like the top seven of the top 8 were Erie Otters top scorers, so it was kind of, I didn't really use stats as much as watching all the games. Left winger Jeremiah Addison, he had a big Memorial Cup final, and when he played the Erie Otters in round robin, he also had a great game. So Jeremiah Addison gets my vote for left wing. Right wing is your boy Jeremy Bracco, had a huge Memorial Cup final. He really stood on it. Yeah, he stood on his head in the finals. So Jeremy Bracco gets the right wing spot. Unsigned, undrafted Darren Radish, defenseman for the Erie Otters, still is not signed. He's still looking for a team to pick him up. It's unbelievable. He was the OHL Defenseman of the Year, and he was outstanding in the Memorial Cup and had a great year, and nobody's picked him up. He had some
highlight. Go ahead.
He has had some teams ask about him, but nothing's been official yet, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, he had some highlight reel goals. So, and it was hard when he scored those goals. I'm like, was it him or was it his brother? I'm not sure.
He had the D. Radish, Peter. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. I mean,
and then the other defenseman is Thomas Chabot. He had a pretty great tournament. He only played 4 games, but he had 4 points in those 4 games and was a +4. So that really shows that he was on the ice quite a bit for goals for. And then the goaltender, Michael DiPietro, huge fan of this kid. I think, in my opinion, he's going to be the best goaltender in this draft this year.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Paul, for that update. And then hopefully it's as good as last year. I don't know. But you do like the rule idea change, I guess, for the way the tournament should be set up.
Yeah, I really think they need to look into the formatting. A lot of people were pretty ticked about the host team having 40 days off and then winning. Yep. But they ran into London Knights, who were a really good team. And
first round.
Yeah, so it's not their fault that's how the tournament went. And yeah, it would be nice to see a change, and it's the 100th Memorial Cup next year, so maybe they do come up with something else. It will be in Regina next year, so who knows?
All right, Paul. Before we finish this episode, give us the detail of dates of the next 3 weeks.
All right. So the June 18th is when the NHL expansion draft player list will be released by every team. The list that Vegas will be getting from every team, they will be making it public to everybody, the fans, the non-fans, everybody will get this list. So June 18th, which is 3 days before the actual expansion draft. I'm pretty sure Vegas they have to have a decision by June 20th. It's not on my list here, but I'm pretty sure they have to let teams know June 20th. But maybe not, because they don't want anything getting leaked. So June 21st is going to be the NHL awards, and in the middle of the awards, kind of picking spots to put announcements, and Vegas will be picking their players, and it'll be announced during the awards. So June 21st is the big expansion draft day. Yeah,
so everybody go watch out the NHL awards. Also, did you see the new EA Sports teaser for NHL 18?
With Marner and his wicked deking?
Yeah, it was excellent. I liked the video. Hopefully we can put it on our game notes, or at least a link. We'll put that hopefully there, and it was pretty cool. And at the end, they obviously advertised the NHL awards show, so it'll be pretty interesting. It seems like they're gonna give an award to a player, and then in between 2 or 3 of the players that they've gotten through the expansion draft for the Knights, seems like it's gonna be like that. So it's going to be an interesting night and a very different feel for the award show.
Interesting. That will be interesting how they do it. If maybe they'll do it all at once, but maybe they'll do it one at a time. But yeah, that'll be.
And don't they usually record the award show like days early?
No, it's done on the same night, I think.
Really? I think because I've remembered in the past that it seemed like people were talking about it on Twitter who won like a day or two before the actual show aired.
Really?
But yeah, I think it happened. Maybe it wasn't last year, but it might have been the year before when this actually kind of happened. I recall something like this. So it's interesting. It's got to be live or at least close to live with this. But of course, it seems like Vegas is obviously submitting that list hours or even that morning of the awards show. But again,
maybe they'll do it like the draft lottery where they get trapped in a room.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing if the players were all there that get expanded and then they come on stage during the awards.
That would be. They would have so many people that they need to trap in a room.
I'd be laughing. It'd be hilarious. It'd be almost similar to the whole Phil Kessel scenario with the All-Star game picks and Ovechkin taking Kessel later or whatever. Or was the opposite?
That would be ridiculous. Tickets are available for June 21st, so I believe it will be live. Starting at $15, Peter. You going to take a trip to Vegas?
No, I will be taking hopefully a trip either this fall or next fall to see a Vegas game. That's for sure. That's on my list of going to see games, but for sure. But again, it's kind of interesting that Vegas has basically like a 3-day window or even less to make their picks of who's they're taking from each team.
I'm pretty sure they'll have a good idea of who's going to be available, not available. They do like 4 mock drafts a day.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors already that people are putting out. Like we're not I think it was Colorado. We're not putting Beauchemin on that list, being available on the list, and fans are getting upset. And Piexa's already has to be covered, so this kind of thing that we already just talked about earlier in the episode. So a lot of play and a lot of rumors are circulating with who or who not on these lists. So it's pretty interesting. And then when is the big draft?
The draft is June 23rd and 24th. So the first round will be Friday night on the 23rd, and then the rest of the rounds will be across the entire Saturday, June 24th, in Chicago.
Perfect. And that's it for this episode, folks. Stay tuned next episode when we will be talking about the rest of the finals and then make our MVP picks and our all-star playoff teams. And that'll be the last episode of the season. And then we'll have some specialty episodes for you talking about the expansion draft and so on and so forth. Till then, see you, folks.
Bye.